Hi, everybody. So here's our first attempt at a lab video or a lab instructional video. Um, Pretty much when we were finishing up the perm chapter, we had to do it virtually. And I just wanted to make sure that we had those 4 types of perm wraps understood thoroughly. So of course, what better way to make sure that it's locked in our minds than to actually do it. So here we go. First, what I'm going to have you do is get your mannequin, and we're going to do a spiral technique at the bottom here. So see how I'm holding the rod, twisting that hair aside so you can see the subsection. Holding the rod because I want the subsection size to be the size of this rod. Okay? Now, you remember from your theory lesson in perms, spiral wrap needs to be wrapped vertically up and down. So again, making sure my section is the same size as my rod. And I'm combing my section out. Using a bookend technique with the paper vertical. Bring in the paper all the way through the end and wrapping. Like stripes on a candy cane up the rod. Go ahead and get my next section. I'm going to take kind of a slanted section. So I'm slanting my parting in the direction that the rod is going to wrap. So combing out. Vertical paper, bookend it. That's where you're folding it over like a book. Put your rubber band on the bottom. Start your wrap at the bottom, getting that all the way around, keeping that tension nice and tight, and then wrapping gradually up the rod. So see how I'm holding my rod diagonal? It's matching the parting, okay? So if I was going to wrap my rod this way, I would have my parting going that way as well, but my parting is slanted this direction. So that's the way my rod is wrapping. And you can see how it is hanging on the base and then down off the base. It's not above the base. So slanting. Comb that hair nice and straight. So I'm not twisting the hair, it's all nice and straight. Again, band at the bottom. And now we're wrapping up. Now see how I start to get like these little pieces that are starting to get off the rod? You can always take a piece of paper, lay that on there, getting that hair around the rod. And then that's going to ensure that that hair isn't popping off the rod, so you get the nice curl pattern. So another thing to notice, since my partings are angled to the right, okay, you can see that my band is on top angled that same direction along with the rod. So everything is flowing that same direction. And I will be happy if you get 3 rods in. Whoop! Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to have our 3 rods. We're going to skip a section so that way I can see in your picture what's going on. Just messed mine up when my head popped off the stand. Now I know how you guys feel working on those stands. Okay, so I took a section about the size of an inch and I parted it out of the way, flipped it over here out of the way. Now we're going to do a piggyback. So we want to get the size of our rod, and whether you use your white or your purple, that's fine. I can't remember what we had you guys take home, but just make sure you're taking your partings the size of the rod. So you're going to start your partings out just like you do for a basic perm wrap for this one. Okay, so we can see that my parting here is the diameter of the rod, and then it's also the length of the rod, okay? So when starting for the double tool wrap, also known as piggyback, you're still correct according to where you want the rod to fall on the base. We want it to fall, where am I? We want it to fall on base. So we're gonna over direct that. I'm using a purple rod, but I don't care what color rod you use as long as your subsection is accurate. And you can see how I'm coming about halfway through the strand, placing the rod under. I don't need an end paper, and I'm just wrapping it around. And now notice I looped it one time on the rod, and now I'm going to turn the rod under and let that hair go with it. Okay. And so here's my little tail. So we're going to clasp. We're going to comb this. And now I'm going to do a horizontal bookend. Well, I mean, actually, you could fit a vertical, any kind of bookend you want to do. And now I'm just going to take a white one and wrap it just like you do a basic perm wrap. And there you go. It is like the purple perm rod is giving the white perm rod a piggyback ride, hence why it's called a piggyback wrap. And then it uses 2 tools on the same strand, hence why it's called a double tool wrap. Okay, so now we're going to skip another section. And put this over here. And we're going to do a weave wrap. So if it's easiest for you to first get the size of the perm rod, get the size of the section, the size of the perm rod, you can do that. Once you get better at it, more experienced at it, you'll be able just to go in and weave your section along the way. But if you want to get the size of your perm rod first, that is fine. So let's see how I did here. It is the length, but too high. A little thick on this side. Okay, so first you have your perm rod subsection. Now we want to weave it. So by weaving it, we want to break up that line so that way when this whole head is wrapped, and you take those rods out, you don't see a bunch of slices of sectioning happening. So by weaving that, it's going to break up the line of the perm rods and make for a more natural look. So we're just going to go around. See how I'm zigzagging on the section. I'm not going all the way through the section. Okay. That's weaving your subsection, zigzagging it, okay? And I need to do that to the underside as well. So I just place my comb right on the part line and just zigzag back and forth between the sections. And here's the deal, here's the trick. You need to make sure that you're grabbing all the hair on the one side of that tail of that comb. So that way you can separate it easily. So now I'm just going to clip this over here. So you can see, I think, top and bottom, that it's not a straight line, it's a zigzag pattern. So we want to, of course, saturate our strand. And if you forgot to take your water bottle home, don't worry, you can just take a cup of water and dunk your comb in it. You know, you could even take a washcloth with some water and wipe it over the strand. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to how we learned to do perm wraps, which is with our double end paper or double end wrap. So I place one on the bottom, one on top, make a little sandwich. So basically, now that you've got your weave parting, you are wrapping this just like a basic perm wrap. Get those ends all the way. Get the paper all the way past the ends. Then get the paper all the way around the rod. Wrap it with some nice even tension. Okay, so that is our weave. Now we're going to skip another section. And we are going to do our bricklay. Think of bricks on a building, okay? You could probably go outside and see some bricks. Basically, we're going to stagger the rods so that way this is going to break up the line again of the subsections. Okay, so first I got to make sure that my subsection is accurate for the size of the rod that I'm using. We are going to do 2 side-by-side rods. So I'm going to split that in half. That is good. Good. Put my section down. Got my projection, got my nice tension, wrapping my end all the way around the rod. So basically, I'm just doing a basic perm wrap right now. Now you can see how this mannequin's got some little breakage pieces. Give her a little squirt, this is a single wrap method where you're laying it right on top of the hair. And now we've got those pieces smoothed around the rod really nice. When you're wrapping, hold your rod even and parallel to the head, because that's going to help you not get any bumps from having your tension uneven. Okay, so we're doing another basic wrap right here, right next to it. Okay, now to make this different, where am I going? To make this different than our traditional wrap where we would just keep going up the head, we are going to put a rod in the middle to break up that seam. So all you're going to do is measure your subsection right here. So again, basic perm wrap. Remember to keep it on base. Place your comb flat on the curve of the head of where that subsection is. Find your 90, okay? And then you're going to go 45 degrees past that. Keep that tension nice and tight. I like to wet my paper to make it stick. You can see the ends of the hair. There's the end of the paper. I like to hold at the base down here, because if you're holding up here, you can like drop little strands of hair. And I use my fingers to let it roll down the strand, keeping that tension. And oh, we got some little flyaway hairs going on. So now we're going to do a single wrap on top with our end paper. Let my band untwist. Okay. All right, let me tightly secure this out of the way. So, and I'm also going to take a selfie picture of this and share it on your assignments. You can see exactly what I want you to do. But so basically, you've got three, so we're looking at this backwards, three spiral rods, okay, that are wrapped vertically, okay, on a slight diagonal, okay? And then we come up to your next, we skip a section and clip it aside, nice and tight, so then I can see your piggyback, also called double tool, okay, method, and then take a section, clip it tightly aside, so that I can see when you come up here to your weave, okay, so that way I can see your weaving in there. You can kind of see too when you lift it up how it's not a straight line, it's a zigzag, okay, and then here is where you're showing the bricklay, because you would just keep this going. Where the seam is, above it, you would put the rod in the middle of that previous seam, and then you would do another, and you would just keep working up using that bricklay alternation method. All right, I hope this isn't confusing. It's, first time doing it, so I don't expect it to be perfect. I would love if you share feedback so that way I know how to do this better. It is so weird talking to my laptop instead of looking at all of you and like gauging your learning and going off of that. So yeah, feedback is appreciated. Hope you're all doing well. And we of course miss you so much.